Thank you for joining me today. I decided a while back, people were asking me about classes. I'm Debbie Dotson. I have created some a group page and a page on Facebook called Senior Travel Adventures. And really, it was just a place that I wanted people to be able to share, to give tips, to give encouragement, things like that. I am a not-for-profit. I do this primarily as a volunteer. I have a show on YouTube that accompanies this, and really it's a labor of love. So when I put out the poll, people were asking me about solo travel was the number one thing that people wanted to learn more about. And then the second one was eSIM. So next month will be eSIM. And I'm going to use a different Zoom account because it's going to take longer than 40 minutes. All right. So this is my information. You can find all my links on a website called Linktree, which is linktr.ee/ Ageless Adventures. I know I said Senior Travel Adventures, but I'm also, my personal thing is Ageless Adventures. So let's get started. One of the things that I've noticed is, I've been involved with a lot of solo groups over the past year and a half, and I've been on focus groups about solo travel. The solo travel revolution is in full swing. There is absolutely no question that solo women travelers over 50 are really a force to be reckoned with. But with that being said, a lot of companies are still not recognizing the value of our dollar versus a potentially and by the way, I'm watching Facebook on my iPad in case anybody's having trouble logging in. Um, they're not recognizing that are we have a lot of money to spend, but they're not honoring that because they're charging us double on certain things of if we're a solo. And when you're on a group tour, it's one thing because they're used to two people in a room and that's how they make their money. But you're one person eating breakfast, you're one person on the bus, you're that. So my personal threshold for solo travel is 20%. I will pay a 20% premium on a solo trip and nothing more. But the average is actually what we discovered in our focus group was really the average we want to pay is about 18% more. We understand that, there might be an extra expense if we're on a tour. But another myth about solo travel is that solo travel means lonely travel, and that is completely false. Solo travel can be anything you want it to be. It can be a group tour. It can be a small group tour. It could be people that maybe you just met in groups, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But there's a lot of ways to solo travel. It doesn't just have to be on your own. And I've read a lot of comments on groups, and people are saying, "Well, you have to be an extrovert to be a solo traveler." That's not necessarily true. I think that solo travel actually lends itself to introverts because you control your destiny. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what the independent travel versus the group travel is about. And what's the differences between the two styles? Well, independent solo travel is exactly that. You are going to put together your trip. Now, there's a lot of ways to do that. You can spend hours and hours researching. You can use AI to research. You can and get a trusty travel advisor to help. I think a really great way if you're going to do an independent trip is to use AI to tell it what you want. Tell it, kind of give it an idea of where you want to go, how many days you want to spend, what your activities are that you're interested in. And then you can share that with a travel advisor to help you make it a reality so that you might not be doing all the work. But you can do it either way. And I've done it both ways. I've done it all on my own. And I'm a very meticulous planner. So I will tell you that it has taken me hours and hours and hours to do that. And I think that that's just, that some people don't want to do that. Um, One of the perks of independent travel, though, is that you can, if you plan ahead, of course, you're going to plan your hotels and things like that. That's good if you're going to multiple locations. What's really nice is if you're in what I call a stay and explore scenario, where maybe you're going to find an accommodation in a city and just go out for day tours and trips and take the bus around. One of my favorite ways to do that is when I get to a place, I like to take the hop on and hop off bus because that way I get to ride around the tourist area and see where I might want to actually go spend more time. And I find that to be a real handy way to get the lay of the land. I did that the first time I went to London, and I really enjoyed it. In fact, I bought a 3-day pass to ride around, but later on, I didn't do that. I actually, the next time I went to London, I took the city buses rather than the tube because I liked being above ground and seeing things as I was taking the buses. And London has a wonderful public transportation system, now, unlike many other places, and Paris too. So, why else would you go on an independent journey? Well, maybe you want to maybe you want to have your just downtime, spiritual, whatever it might be, or maybe you want to go celebrate something in your life that you want to just do it on your own. But it allows independent travel allows you to have the ultimate customization. If you don't want to get up at 8 o'clock one morning and get on a tour bus, you don't have to. You can sleep in. So there's a lot of really benefit to doing that, but it is a lot of work. And if you're prepared to do that work, great. Now, solo-friendly group tours. This is a great segue into solo travel. I strongly believe that for first timers, there's a couple of things I recommend. Start locally. That's a really great way to dip your feet into solo travel, is to take a map, look what's about 100 miles, an hour and a half driving away from you, and something that maybe you've lived there your whole life, but you've never seen. And go and do that, or take a concert, or take yourself out to dinner, or take yourself to the theater. Those are the types of things that you can dip your toe into the water without feeling like, oh my gosh, I've spent thousands of dollars on this solo trip and I'm homesick or I'm unhappy. Um, then the next best thing is to start with a tour group. And I've done that as well. And I find a great amount of value in going with a tour group. And there's all kinds of tour groups, and we'll talk more about tours, those types of tours in a moment. But you have an instant travel community. There's somebody looking out for you. You still have your own room. You still have your solo feel. But if you want to talk to people, they're there. If you want to sit on the tour bus with somebody, you can. If you have someone kind of has your back, more or less. I do like that aspect of solo travel, and that's specific in some ways for me, destination wise. I would do that in a place like I'm going to Morocco. And for me, I know a lot of ladies do it on their own, and it's a very safe country to visit. But for me personally, I decided that I wanted to go with a tour group my first time there. I don't know that it'll be my last time there, but it definitely will be there. Yeah. Um, okay, 2 people entered the waiting room. All right. Well, let me admit and admit. Okay. And then in the chat, what's going to happen? I'm going to answer all the questions written in the chat at the end. So thank you for joining. If you just joined me, just make sure you're muted. And I'm going to keep this on up here and make sure I'm not leaving anybody out because that didn't pop up on my screen. All right, so I am recording this, so if you missed the beginning, no worries. I'm going to post the link. So again, I talked about instant travel community, structured adventures. Somebody's planned your day for you. You know where you're going. Know what you're going to see. You also have expert guidance. So maybe you don't just have your tour guide, but you have a local guide for the day. There's value in that. And you also do get a lot of free time, but you have a shared experience as you want it. You can share seeing the pyramids of Egypt with somebody, and have someone to say, wow, isn't that the coolest thing you've ever seen, versus just being on your own. But the secret to solo travel isn't just choosing one forever, it's the variety. It's making your destination what's up to you and your mood or how you feel about it. So, like I said, my personal thing is there are some locations where I want to go on a tour, and there's other locations where I feel perfectly comfortable planning my own travel, taking my own trip, and doing my own thing. So those are things of value when you're solo traveling. When it really shines is familiar territory. So if you want to go on an independent tour, maybe somewhere you know about already or have had friends that have gone to, maybe they're an English speaking country if that's your first language, and you're making sure that you really want to, you know, be able to just absorb the culture. Like for me, I'm going to England for my third time, London for my third time. I have been to other parts. But if the next time I go to London after this next trip, I'm only going for a few days, I am going to take the train and go to the Cotswolds and some of the other places. Last time I took the train from London to Liverpool, and that was great fun, by the way, although it was pouring rain. So, those are some places where independent travel, where you have a comfort level. They have great public transportation, you speak the language, easy to get around. And then they also have the ability to be flexible. Like I said, if you don't want to get up that morning at, the crack of dawn, you don't have to. You're running your own. If you want to go take a nap in the afternoon, you can. If you want to have a late lunch and just go back and think about your day in your room and have that downtime, that's all perfectly fine. Your milestone moments, those sabbaticals, your birthday trips, soul searching, I am going to the Camino. I'm going to walk the Camino de Santiago. I'm walking the final stage. I want the personal soul searching journey. I don't know what I'm going to find there, but I certainly hope I'll find something. So let's talk about the formula for solo. What would you want to do? And I'm going to name it the 3-2-1. You can modify this to your own needs perfectly fine. Typically 3 to 6 months. If you're going to a North American destination, 3 months or less is fine. But if you're going to an international destination, 3 to 6 months out is pretty good. Google Flights, Skyscanner, both excellent tools for tracking flight costs. And Google just came out with an AI plugin on their flights called Google Deals, where you can kind of just say, hey, I want to take a 10-day trip to Europe in the spring, and it will find you the best deals. I actually, on my group page, I posted a post about this the other day, and I have tried it. It's pretty fun. And you can set up your travel alerts too on that. So you can be monitoring your flights and the cost of your flights ahead of time, which is great. International travel, I started with 6 months. I have found that 4 to 5 months is kind of the sweet spot. Sometimes you'll find out there's a better deal closer, but sometimes it'll double in price. So it's just you know, the way the airlines work, it's a mystery. It's not really a mystery. They work off an algorithm, but you never know what it's going to cost you. 2 to 4 months, if you're doing straight independent travel, you're going to want to look for your accommodation. Um, it depends on how long you're going to stay, what kind of accommodations you want. Research local transportation. So if you are going to do an Airbnb type of thing, make sure that you're, close to public transportation if you're not going to have a vehicle. And look at the different accommodation. Read reviews. I cannot impress upon you how important it is to read the reviews, and not just the Airbnb reviews, but go to Google reviews and go to some of these third parties and read independent reviews. And just put the search in and you'll find out. Is there a foolproof method with Airbnb? Absolutely not. I have heard some crazy bad stories, but for me, I'm a hotel person. So for me, I am going to go book hotels, and I actually I comb through reviews on hotels, and I take it all with a grain of salt. And you never know till you get there, and you could have a bad situation, or you could read bad stuff and it could be great. And then 1 to 2 months prior, you want to look at your activities, restaurants, if there's some specific famous restaurant you want to go to, and any guided experiences. Viator, Get Your Guide. Often on Get Your Guide and Viator, you can actually see the actual tour operator name, and it's fine to go look there too. Um, I think sometimes Viator is the same price as the tour operator. I know they have to pay Viator a fee. And so it's nice if you can book direct with the operator, but sometimes you get a better deal. So I'm always looking for the best deals and again, best reviews. As far as safety goes, on my website, I have a blog completely about travel safety. So I don't want to delve into it too long here, but share your location, trust your instincts, blend in. Um, I have a travel on crossbody bag that has zippers with connections. I have my phone on a lanyard and it fits into the pocket of my travel on bag. I take a lot of pictures, and so for me, that extra strap around my neck, it gives me a little bit of sense of security, but I'm still constantly on the lookout for, pickpockets are very talented. They can open zippers, they can bump into you. I don't know if anybody watches TikTok, but there is a TikTok video right now that there's a lady, they tried to pickpocket her passport in Venice, and it's gotten a couple million views. She grabs the girl by her ponytail, and the girl is just shrieking, but she got her stuff back. I had a personal experience, not me, but somebody I was traveling with had left our group and went on a train. A gentleman who's very well traveled. He had his passport in his zippered pocket. He fell asleep. The person was able to extract his passport, and they held it for ransom. A third party came and said, "We'll give you your passport for X euros." Now he paid the money because obviously you losing your passport's horrible. So there are a lot of safety strategies as a solo traveler that you really, really need to consider. And again, I have a full-blown blog about all of that. And I'm also happy for you to ever, email me and I'll go over specifics with you. So let's talk about the modern era of group travel. Well, there are all kinds of group travel options out there. There are small boutique tours that are cultivated by someone, and maybe there's only 8 to 12 people in the group, and you're going to these very specific. Those are wonderful, but they are going to cost you a lot of money. So keep that in mind. Let me make sure no one's in our trying to come in here. I'm just checking. Okay. They will cost you. They are at a premium. They're not cheap. If budget is not consideration, they are wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I'm not going to say they're not. The other thing is you can go the opposite way, and you can go with I travel with Gate One. I like Gate One. It's a very affordable option. But if you take their regular tour, you may have as many as 40 people on a tour. And if that's not your thing, then you might either want to look at their small discovery tours, which are 22 people or less, or another. And I don't get any money or anything for promoting Gate One. In fact, they're not like that. They don't do any of that. But I'm just telling you my personal experience. I've traveled with them 4 times. Um, I've traveled with Globus once. Uh, I liked the tour very much. I did not like the accommodation. Um, so that was my bigger thing with that. With in the nice part about both of those is you can look at your hotels before you even book your tour and see. Also, travel advisors can book for you. If you want that extra layer of protection between you and a tour company, absolutely use a tour advisor. Most of them are connected with Globus and All Colette, and I can list off a whole bunch of them, and they work with them regularly so they can navigate for you. You can book online on most of these, but it doesn't cost you any more in most cases to use a travel advisor. But I'm going to use a caveat with that because there are travel advisors they will spend a lot of time on this. So you want to make sure that you're respectful of that as well. So you can find these groups from 8 to usually 22. I've seen groups that are about 16. I think 16 is probably a really manageable amount of people on a tour. Uh, and one thing you can think about too in some of these specific tours, there's someone on the call right now. I said no sales and no promo, and I'm not going to, but putting together a group of like demographically matched people, or with ladies over 50 traveling solo, or looking for someone to share a room with, where you meet ahead of time and you meet on WhatsApp or Zooms. I recently did this. I was on a group tour, but then I took part of the tour on a cultivated tour that I cultivated. And I was basically the group leader. And they were all, we met ahead of time. We talked about the tour. We talked about the expectations. We talked about the physicality of the tour. There's real value to that, being able to go with a group where they do have these types of meetings. You can also be on social media. I know some of you may be listening to this right now and you've seen my posts on social media about this. Maybe you're part of Gate One Solo Travelers. I know I got a lot of interest yesterday. I don't see that many people logged in, but um, you know, those groups are developed. Now, I did set up a chat in my group, but the problem is community chats are going away on Facebook. So from this point forward, when they go away, really what you want to do is figure out a way, if you put a post and say, "Hey, I'm on this trip." On the group pages, I'm on this trip. Is anybody else going? That's been very effective for me. On Great One, I've met many people ahead of time on my trips. Not a whole bunch, but enough. Single supplement, another thing of single supplement or discounts. I talked about that at the very beginning. What is your threshold for a single supplement? Gate One, no guarantee, but last year they had 2 solo supplement sales. This year they've had one. There's a rumor they're going to have another one. But they also do have another type of sale called 50% off second traveler, which equates to 25% off a solo. Now, that's not on every single tour, but that can save a significant amount of money. And sometimes 25% off a tour, depending on what tour it is a bigger savings than no solo supplement. So that's something to consider. But definitely, if somebody's charging you 50% more or higher on a solo, that's not a good deal. Another thing is they sneak it in. And one of the solo groups has coined a term, solo washing, where they say there's no solo supplement, but the cost of the tour is significantly higher because they've already hidden it into the overall cost. You got to watch for things like that. And you got to think about terms of what is your daily amount that you're comfortable with, depending on the type of tour that it is. Is it $200 a day? Is it $300 a day? What does that include? Also don't, a lot of times when they have solo supplement sales, it does not, of course, include airfare, because airfare is not something you're going to get a discount on, and unless the tour company has some type of special deal. I do know that that happens. Um, you also want to look at the group time and the free time. How much free time are you going to have? Is it enough for what you want, right? Maybe you want a lot more free time than they're giving you. I've been on tours where mostly we do get some free time in the days, and I've done my own thing. And I do look for that. My Morocco trip is pretty much every day we've got stuff going on. There's like 2 days. It's going to be interesting. And part of that is because there is significant bus time. And if you don't like significant bus time, you need to also think in terms of that too. And you need to look at that tour in that way. You also want to explore, think about local guides too. And, I wanted to go back to the individual tour again. Another thing, and I failed to mention it earlier, but I do want to plug them, is Greet Her, Greether. They will give you a personal guide in a location all over the world. And I will say that I got a free Greet Her in Montreal. It was lovely though. I didn't really need it in Montreal, but I don't like to promote a service I haven't tried, and so I wanted to try their service. But, if you're going to somewhere new that you've never been, that's an option for you, which is kind of the way between a independent trip and a group trip, is you get somebody to start with and they kind of tell you local places, or can give you ideas. And I actually met with them ahead of time and they knew what I was looking for. I talked earlier about stay and explore. I want to talk a little more about that right now. Stay and explore, um, you can stay in one spot and go. A lot more tour companies are doing that. When I went with Globus, we stayed in Montecatini, Italy, and we took the tours out in Tuscany from one hotel. I did love that because you only have to hang up your clothes once. And then, of course, specialty cultivated group tours. One thing I'm not mentioning too much today is the whole cruise aspect. That is a totally different animal. River cruises, expedition cruises, just cruises in general. Some cruise lines are recognizing the value of solo travel. They are NCL, Norwegian Cruise Lines. They have these little tiny solo cabins and they have a solo lounge. You can upgrade to balconies. Sometimes the fees are reasonable. One thing I do want to say is for me, I need to have a window in my room on a cruise. So for me, one of those little inside cabins is not going to be my thing. Um, but this is where a tour advisor, a travel advisor, can come in handy. All right, we only have 10 minutes left, so I'm going to start moving up here. Choosing your travel tribe. This is again where travel advisor could help you on a group tour. If you join a group that's already going, they can help match you. Maybe you do want to have a roommate. They can match you with somebody. You also want to look at your activity level. You want to ask key questions. And for introverts, built-in quiet time and other optional activities might be perfect. And solo travel is actually good because you can control your own interactions. Decision matrix, choosing an independent, whether you want group excel, personal readiness, timing. Shoulder seasons are always going to be your better deals. I don't ever want to travel in the summer if I can help it because everybody and their brother's traveling in June and July. That not my thing, but it's available to you. Um, Budget reality check. Independent travel, you might have some hidden costs. You might have a potential for overspending, your currency exchange, your transportation costs. Group tours, it's transparent in many cases if you're all inclusive or what's covered, how many breakfasts, how many dinners. You get negotiated rates, you get entries to museums. there's fewer surprises. And you have the built-in expertise of that guide. And there will be single premiums. Um, so I'm going to challenge you to a 48-hour solo travel challenge. Research one of your destinations. Investigate a group tour. Take your first step. You've got to take that baby step. If you haven't ever traveled solo, it's got to start somewhere. Also, give yourself grace. Not everybody loves solo travel. They might try it and they don't like it. Don't beat yourself up over that. There are other options. Maybe you're going to go on your own. Maybe you don't have anybody to go with, but getting an organized group tour through a travel advisor, they might have the option of pairing you up with somebody that you can meet in advance and that they might already know. They're not going to just throw you into somebody you don't know. I know there are groups on Facebook that match people. I think it's more important for people to get to know each other first because staying with somebody in a room overnight, I can tell you some bad stories and some good stories. So I know that was quick. If anybody has any questions that I can answer, we've got 7 minutes left. I am going to post this PDF on my Senior Travel Adventures page on Facebook so that you can get to it if you want to see what I have there. And let me see what my chat question is. Okay, so Tracy said that was her dream place. Was that Morocco? Let me open up. You can unmute yourself.
I'm hoping to go in 2027. I do have two Gate 1 trips planned for next year.
You already do? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what they did is after I booked my Gate 1 Morocco trip because another solo traveler I met on another trip is going to be on that trip, but it wasn't the one I had intended. I had intended to do the Allure, but I'm
Hmm.
just doing the classic because he's on it and a lady that he met as a solo on a different trip is on it, and I thought, okay, we'll go.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I'm doing this stay and explore next year, Holland and
Oh,
Denmark. You stay in Antwerp, and then
okay.
I'm doing the Danube River tour. But Morocco, I really want to go to the Blue City, but I also want to do the glamping in the desert, and they're not included in one. And as a solo traveler, I'm just kind of nervous about doing the Blue City on my own. You know what I mean? Like I see a lot of people go with guides or drivers, but if it's not a group, it's not a place I'd think I'd feel comfortable with not speaking the language to go on a day trip.
So Blue City, what I might suggest to that is Greet Her might be great for Blue City.
Okay.
As is that you'd have somebody from the Blue City and they would meet, you'd have to take transportation there.
Right.
And then, but I understand the train is very safe and I understand there's buses that will take you to the Blue
Right.
City. Because that's what I'm regretting is, and why I'm planning to go again is because I want to see the Blue City. I wanted to glamp in the desert. I don't know if I'm a glamping person, but I was willing to try it. Um, and uh, and so yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
But I
I've never heard of Greet Her. I'm gonna look into that. That sounds really
look into
great.
it and I actually have a discount code with them. Let me think. I think it's, oh my gosh, it's on my website. I think
Okay.
it's on there, but it's like I think it's 10% or 15% off.
Yeah, I
Um,
just came across you yesterday in the Gate 1 solo group. So I went to follow you and all.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's greet her. I thought she did a really good time, and she actually um the person who started Greet Her is this young lady, and she was in Morocco and had a bad experience, and that's why she started Greet Her. That's
Hmm.
is where it all started for her.
Oh,
And now
that's
she's
cool.
won all these awards, and now everybody, knows her, and I know Lisa said she found Gate One too expensive. I find them to be very competitive these days. I haven't found many other people. Uh, Globus is very similar price. Um, I have not traveled with Exotica, but I understand Exotica's got pretty good pricing, but I haven't traveled with them. I know places like Oats, Trafalgar, those are all very pricey, very pricey. But Gate One's no solo sale really does make them fairly, I feel, very affordable. My Morocco trip is, um, gosh, it's like $140 a day or something.
Mhm.
I don't think you can really go anywhere unless you do. I mean, you could do Morocco on your own, I think. Um, but yeah, I'm always, part of what I do is I'm scouring all the travel sites, I get all these newsletters every day. So which is why I'm going to start my own newsletter because I'm going to aggregate what I'm learning. I try to, because I try not to promote sales stuff as much on my group page, but I do. I mean, like Lisa, who's on here now, she's got some great trips coming up for 2026. I know my senior travel buddies, they also have some great trips coming up for 2026. My senior travel buddies, they have some are group tours, some they're just selling. Yeah, Lenny, I agree. I've seen some bad things, which is why I'm not anxious to go on any of their trips. Um, I also was talking to G1, or G Adventures, I mean. Um, G Adventures, I had a lady on one of the social media groups tell me that she found them that they were older, but I was going to travel with them to Morocco, and everybody on the trip was under 30 years old. I don't know. Okay, so I want to talk about Cost Saver. So Lisa, you're mentioning Cost Saver, but Cost Saver, don't they work through like Trafalgar and all that? I mean, you're going to go through those types of things. I mean, they're aggregating. Tour Cost Saver and Tour Radar are aggregators who find you the deals, right?
Trafalgar and Cost Saver are all owned by the same company.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I see cost savers. What I like about like when you look at like those places, and we have less than a minute left, so I apologize when the whole thing's just going to shut off and I'm going to say goodbye now. But again, the recording will come up, and the PDF of the whole presentation will come up. I have my email right here. I am more than happy for people to email me questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. So yeah, I appreciate everybody coming today, and thank you and happy travels. My husband no longer wants to travel, and so I have to go on my own. And my friends always say they'll go and then they back out. So life's too short. Take the trip. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring. And so for me, I know a little bit of what tomorrow's going to bring for me medically, so I'm going to take as many trips as I can while I can. So,